The majority of the madrasa students are not really equipped with the knowledge of today's world. Some of them perceive technology, computers, internet as sin because they're not exposed to it. They don't know what it can do for them and they're scared of the unknown. Facebook alone didn't exist 5 years ago. YouTube did not exist 5 years ago. Skype was a baby 7 years ago. It's all happening very, very quickly. People don't understand what it is. And why should they understand? What's value in it for them? So if we show them the value, they will learn.
अच्छा, फेसबुक एक मीटिंग प्लेस बन गई है. जैसे मस्जिद होती है ना, मस्जिद का असल काम होता है नेटवर्किंग करना. यानी कि आप जाएं, अस्सलाम वालेकुम करें, बराबर वाले का हाथ मिलाएं, पूछें बेटा कैसे हो.
तो ज़रूरत के मुताबिक इतनी मालूमात सीख लेनी चाहिए कि क्या है कंप्यूटर.
जैसे आपने पूछा फेसबुक होती क्या, आपको आज तक नहीं पता, तो उनको पता तो हो जाए ना, फिर उसके बाद इस्तेमाल करने में वही हो जाए. हम ओरिएंटेशन की बात करें.
दूसरा तरीका अब हमें ये डब्बा में जादू का मिल गया है. इसके सामने हम बैठते हैं और दुनिया जहाँ हर चीज़ सामने आ जाती है.
They're scared of anything which will disrupt their lifestyle. Until you promote collaboration, you would not hear the other side of the story, and if you hear the other side of the story, you would not be enemies anymore.
आप में से गूगल किसको मालूम है क्या है, नहीं किसको नहीं मालूम गूगल क्या है. गूगल एक ऐसी जगह है जहाँ पे जाके आप कुछ भी लिखें तो दुनिया में उस सब्जेक्ट पे किसी ने कुछ भी लिखा होगा वो आपको within a second निकाल के दे देगा.
I want to show them Facebook and other tools like that so that they can see what other people believe in and they can show their side of the story to the world also at the same time. The faster we learn the knowledge of the cultures among us, the faster as humanity we will grow.
Hello. So hi everyone, how are you doing? Hi everyone, how are you doing? Okay. So my name is Rehan. I was born and raised in Pakistan, and in my life I started being an entrepreneur at a very, very young age. I started selling candies when I was 8 outside my home. And then I started my first company and I was 13. I started with Commodore 64. Some of you might be aware of that computer, as they call it. So as I was raised in a school, I was told that we have certain countries that are our enemy. Right? I was in Pakistan. I was told India is our enemy. I was told Jews are the worst creature on the planet, and I was told certain things like that. And I was curious. Why some people are our enemies. What have we done wrong that they're our enemies? So I started getting very interested in getting to know the enemy and understand and have a talk and have a conversation with them what have I done wrong that you are my enemy? So around 7 years ago, I first met my first Jewish person on Facebook. And I started having a conversation, and he was not very scary to me. I mean, I was like, sounds like a normal person. Actually, he looks like a jihadi. He had a big beard, he was always wearing something, and I was like, you look like the mullah in my mosque. I mean, how are you my enemy? We look very much like my mullahs or the imams. And I wanted to understand more and more and more. So I started advertising in Israel on Facebook. Hi, my name is Rehan, and I would like to be your Facebook friend. And that advertisement actually went inside Israel, and I ended up having 20,000 Israeli friends. I thought this is interesting, so I started doing the same in Palestine, because in Pakistan we're told that if we don't conquer back Palestine, the end of the world will come. And so we have to protect them because they're Muslims, and we have to be taking care of them. And but I did not know a single Palestinian person. So I started the same advertisement in Palestine, and ended up having another 20,000 people in Palestine being my Facebook followers. So I did the same. I thought this is interesting, and looking at the technological change, like for example, when television started, advertising was free, and eventually it became very expensive. I thought, so after certain years, advertising on Facebook, I think, will also become expensive. So why don't I start advertising in other countries? So I started advertising in all the countries where it was cheap to advertise. So I ended up having 5,000 friends from Kenya, 5,000 friends from Brazil, 5,000 friends from Albania. Ended up having 700,000 Facebook friends. So now I have today 700,000 people. When I post something, I end up showing the world from my eyes to them. And this was a very interesting experience for me, because as a Pakistani, I was denied US and European visa 26 times. I just couldn't go for a trip, not to live there, just to say hi, just couldn't go. One of the friends was kind enough to write a testimonial from Germany saying, if Rehan escapes, I will give up my house. But I still did not get the visa. So it was really, really hard to travel. And I thought, if we don't travel, then eventually I traveled. I was able to travel. Now this is my 89th country. Hopefully I will be in my 90th in Iceland day after tomorrow. But the experience of traveling taught me that everything I knew of was very, very wrong. It was maybe, from a point of view as a person. Since I was denied the US visa, I had a company in the US which I couldn't run while from the US, so I had to run it online. And my other colleagues in the office were also from Pakistan, and they also couldn't travel, so they had to learn the culture of the US, trying to understand how the business world works there. So I requested them, why don't you add my 200-300 Facebook friends from the US and talk to them on Skype, your accent will improve, you will understand the culture, you will understand how things work there. And they did that, and I saw that their minds were starting to shift. They were thinking about the same things. They had long beards, they were having the same things in their head, that this is an enemy and this is not an enemy. And we must do things in a certain way. And I saw that they started changing, becoming more worldly viewers. And seeing that 2 years ago, I thought, it's working for my office. Would it work if anybody does this? So I offered on my Facebook, if anybody comes to my Facebook and steals my 500 Facebook friends, I'll give you a free laptop. I wanted to see what happens if, somebody takes my 500 friends. 2 years later, I have given away 300 of those, and now I have a tribe of 500 people who have ended up stealing or taking 500 of my Facebook friends. What did that do? So every single person who did this initially they were doing it for the laptop, because they were like, oh, I'll get a free laptop. But after they have 100 of my Facebook friends, I would get an inbox saying, I see what you're doing to us. I see that you're not just trying to give us a laptop, but you're trying to change us. Some became very angry, they wanted to sort of punch me or something, but others started saying, I'm not going to take the laptop, but I'm still going to do this and see what happens to me. So I have now 300 case studies of people who did this, and their minds started to become more worldly, as we call it, as humanity or as global citizens. One of the boys who was very, very anxious, he was 17 years old when I met him. I wouldn't give him 5 minutes because he was so anxious and, always after me. And I told him, I'll give you half an hour if you steal my 500 friends. And today he's started a company with Steve Wozniak. He has never met Steve Wozniak. And Steve Wozniak is a friend of mine on Facebook. And he ended up not just being friends with him, but ended up starting a company. another boy asked me for the same thing. I want an hour from you. I said, okay, are you persistent enough? I'll give you a task. He went in and tried to take my 500 Facebook friends. 2 months later, I saw a video from a girl from Bulgaria, I know, and she was very closed, like she wouldn't want to friend anyone she has never met before, like most of us over here have. I saw a video from her. I am now a volunteer for a organization in Pakistan. What? And I go in and I look, I see who the mutual friends are, and this boy who wanted to meet me for an hour was one of the friends, and I saw he had already taken 400 something of my friends. And I inboxed him and said, you wanted to see me, so come and see me. Oh, I don't need to meet you anymore. What happened? All your friends helped me out, so I don't need to really do it. So I saw a pattern emerging, what is happening. So since I was denied, I did not go to the US, I grew up my company sitting in Pakistan for 11 years, God bless the internet. And I wanted to repeat the same process and see, does it actually work? Does the trust actually build just by adding people on Facebook? Does the trust actually build just by, does the person's mindset change just by adding people on Facebook? We hear that we are the sum of our friends. Does that actually work? So now it has worked so well that I've created it into a system. So my system is, if you want an hour from me, go in and take 500 of my friends. And I'll not just give you my time, but I'll give you a smartphone. If you come in and take 1,200 of my friends, I'll give you a laptop. And if you take 1,500 of my friend, I'll open my checkbook and say, okay, let's do business together. Because by the time he has taken 1,500 of my amazing friends, which includes Bertola, as I said, Wozniak, Steve Case, who's who of the world is I collected over the last 10 years, it just starts to change their mindset because they're now actually having a conversation with so-called entity. And once you can accept to change yourself, everything else starts to change. So this journey has taught me to be in the business of making friends. So I don't make any money so far, I don't know how to do it, but now when people ask what do, I said I make new friends. And I just hand out my card, which you guys have received, so this is my new card. And I just say, hey, I like to make new friends. And I put a story behind it of my life. I sort of am on a journey of creating interesting people. And why, again, is because all the countries like where I come from lose the cream of the milk. Meaning everybody who's somebody with the courage to change something gravitates to Dubai, to Norway, to the US, to Silicon Valley. Who's who of our countries, the best of our countries leave. So there's no leadership. So I wanted to take Facebook and see if I can use this social media platform to reverse that. I mean, you don't have to be in one place to be a social leader, as David was saying. Basically, you need the courage to make the change, and you need the network to make the change. So if you have a great idea, people will come to you, but you have to make yourself visible. And I ended up writing this small little booklet which actually shows how do you make yourself more visible. So if you go to a Facebook profile and you have one of those girls with a ninja face, having no information, my mom's a ninja also, so don't worry about it, I call this all the time. And it's just to break the ice, right? And it allows them, if there's no information, you might think he or she is another terrorist. So I had a conversation with another friend of mine. I met her, and she's like everybody else of my friend gets angry at me. And why are your friends threatening me so much? And here's another testimonial guy of that. She saw a friend request from a guy who was wearing a Pakistani flag and having a gun in his hand. I said, Jennifer, this boy is probably a young 16-year-old kid. He's just wanting to showing his patriotism about his country, showing with a gun and everything. Really? He looks like a terrorist. So I took her phone, looked his ID, and started messaging him. Why are you doing that? He's going to come and kill me. I said, I'm doing it for my ID. Nobody's going to kill you. And actually, we ended up having a talk, and he was a 16-year-old boy as I talked, and he ended up putting his own photo with a suitcase in his hand, and now she was comfortable in friendly. So what am I trying to do here? Norway is 5 million something, Sweden is another 7 million. My small city is 22 million people. Those 22 million in my country is 200 million people, which is 3% of the planet. How many Chinese, every 7th person in the planet is a Chinese. Every 7th person in the world is an Indian. How many Indians do you guys know? It should be every 7th person. And how many Chinese do you know on your Facebook? It should be every 7th person. How many Pakistanis do you know? We have every 4th person in the planet is a Muslim. How many Muslims do we know in our Facebook? So my whole kiosk here is, instead of talking about people, let's talk with them. And once we start talking with them, new trust would emerge, new partnerships would emerge, new things will emerge, which I just don't cannot even imagine what it will be. For me, it started when I answered an email in 1995 of a person, of a school teacher who was trying to in a mailing list when there was no ICQ or Skype or Facebook. She was just emailing, I would like my students to talk to someone from Israel or India, and I very scaredly wrote back, I'm from Pakistan. Can I be your friend? Can I be your children's friend? And she said, sure. We don't care, but we just don't see Pakistan. Well, it's a big, small country, 200 million people. So we ended up being friends. She became my partner when I started a company in the US, and things were never the same anymore. And I would like the same story to repeat for more of you and around the world, because unless we learn to live together, we have so much leverage to take advantage of from both sides. We should abuse the internet as much as we can, not just use it. Facebook, in a country like ours, there is no water, there is no electricity, but there is Facebook. Because Facebook has come in and given a thing called Facebook Zero, which allows you to have Facebook for free. You buy a $20 phone, you get a free SIM card, put it in the phone, boom, you're on Facebook. And you can now communicate with these people, collaborate with these people. It won't happen overnight, but build the trust, and yes, you can then take advantage of one of the largest markets of the world. Thank you so much for listening to me today. As it says on the book, add me on Facebook.